Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. I am Shamanism, otherwise known as Emily. I'm an author, an entrepreneur, and a gardener, and I am here to help you grow anything and everything, including yourself. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Show reel, hit it! Welcome back, everyone. The 3 things that you need to know before you plant asparagus. So the first thing you need to know about asparagus, if you don't already know this, is it's a perennial. Now, if you're asking yourself, I don't actually know what a perennial is versus an annual, let me explain. So the main differences between those 2 types of plants are that perennial means perennial, each year. It'll come back year after year. Whereas annual plants, annual meaning only one a year. So you'll only get that singular plant for that 1 year. Meaning, for instance, if you seed lettuce and you don't save the seeds from that lettuce, then you're only going to get lettuce for that 1 season. So the 3 things that you need to know. The first thing that you absolutely need to know before you plant asparagus anywhere is actually kind of twofold. One fun thing to know is that it's actually deer resistant. So if you plant it on the border of your property, you will have probably less deer issues with eating your garden if you have a garden right alongside it. So that's just a side tip. The first thing you need to know when you go to plant asparagus is that you need to plant it about 1 foot deep. So you actually want to bury that sucker a lot deeper than you bury many plants. So the first thing that you absolutely do not want to make a mistake of not doing is make sure you bury it deep enough. I almost made that mistake, and thankfully, I have some more asparagus plants that I can use. It's very funny with asparagus and strawberry plants, and probably others that I'm unaware of. You plant the root systems and it looks really bizarre. It looks like you are straight up planting just roots and you're thinking, how is this going to turn into a plant? But it does. So thing number 1, when you plant asparagus, it has to go at least 1 foot deep. So that's thing number 1. The second thing is, for the first 2 to 3 years, guys, you can't harvest your asparagus. I mean, you could. Let me put it to you that way. You could, but you'd be doing yourself a major disservice. And if you want the awesome harvests that perennial asparagus can provide, you need to make sure that you encourage it in the right way. The second thing that you need to know about asparagus, therefore, is that for the first 2 or 3 years, you're not actually going to get to clip that asparagus to bring inside to eat. Because you could, but what will happen is that you'll dwarf your growth over the subsequent years. So if I can recommend something, it's that plant your asparagus 1 foot deep. That's the first tip. The second very important thing is for the first 2 to 3 years, have patience and just let your plants grow. And finally, the third most important thing that you need to know is a little bit twofold, but they go hand in hand. So you need to know both of these things. So the first important point is that at the end of the season, something that you must do, because otherwise I'm not sure if it causes mold or fungus or attracts some kind of bugs, but I know that it can cause a blight in either your plants themselves or in the surrounding dirt environment. So the thing you really want to be careful of is that at the end of the season, now I know you can't, well actually let me bring you over to my asparagus to show you. So when your asparagus reach this stage, this is really hard to see, guys, sorry. Anyway, when your asparagus reaches this crazy stage, what will happen is at the end of the season, all of those plumes will turn brown. And what you want to do is make sure that you chop it all the way down to the bottom. So let's pretend, just for the sake of demonstration, that my arm was an asparagus plant. And this is the dirt level. Now, if this is soil level, you want to make sure at the end of the season, when your plants are like, well, I don't have anything to demonstrate with, but basically they look brown and quite brittle. They look like, if you've ever seen a bean plant that has gone off later in the summer and died, they're like brittle and kind of hollow and light. So you can tell that there's nothing really alive left in the plant. And what you want to do is you chop that down right to soil level. Do not be afraid, just chop that whole plant down. And here's the first very important part. So those top parts that you chop off and you're going to carry off and put them anywhere else but in your bed. There are lots of things, you guys may know this about me, but one of my main driving forces when it comes to gardening is permaculture, meaning that I try to be as sustainable as possible and reuse, reduce, recycle things that I can. So the reason that this is a particular, that I want to point out particularly to you, that this is so important is because it's not in like even my natural instinct. So when you chop them down to soil level, make sure that you take all the dead plant material from all of the top part, everything you chopped off, and carry it somewhere else. And you can let it compost off in the woods, but the point is don't put it back into your bed as mulch. Normally I'm a huge advocate of that, but in this case it can really mess up your bed, so don't do that. And the other second part of the third thing, which is really, really important that you need to know both these things, is that after you've chopped them all the way down, the second thing that you need to do as part of thing 3 is you need to give them a deep mulching. So after you've lopped up those tops and you've carried them away at the end of the season when everything is dead and gone, you want to make sure that you add, I believe I read that it's 3 to 4 inches of mulch actually is ideal, but you want at least 2, probably more like 3 inches of mulch to go over the top. I actually don't know the reasoning behind it, but I do know that it helps you to grow better asparagus. If for some reason you happen to miss this step, know that it's okay because yours truly didn't do that. My first year with them in the bed, I didn't get time actually, believe it or not, before it snowed to lay down the mulch. And so have no fear if you messed up and you happen to not make it in time and have an issue like me, it will still come back the next year. But having said that, to give yourself the best chance of growing the most kick butt asparagus, make sure that you deep mulch it and you chop that stuff down and take it all the way away so you don't get bugs or problems with your soil. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Those are 3 extremely important keys. Take it from me. I've made the mistakes and I don't want you to make them. And so here I am sharing those 3 extremely important asparagus growing tips with you to make sure that you're growing the best things possible. That's it for today, guys. Have a beautiful weekend. Much love. If this video was of any help to you, give me a like, give me that thumbs up, comment down below and let me know where are you tuning in from. And also tell me what's growing on because I always love to know that. But in seriousness, we have a very worldwide family, so let me know where you're tuning in from. And last but not least, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell. That's the little bell icon, by the way, because I'm dedicated to making the next 365 days of my life your best year yet. So take care, namaste, much love. Bye, babes.